Okay.
You are so very welcome.
Welcome to the replay. My name is Haziq Ali. We're about to get all of this started. I hope you're ready to take some notes. You're going to learn some pretty interesting stuff this evening. I know a bunch of you are used to us on 7 Minutes of Success in the morning. This one's going to take a little bit longer. It's going to be closer to 20 minutes. But we're going to have some fun with this thing. So definitely take notes. Good evening, millionaires. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the shares.
Good evening. Welcome to the
If you have questions, I promise you I will go back through the comments and kind of like check into the comments. I won't be able to respond right away as I'm going through this, but I will answer any questions. This is a subject that's very dear and near to my heart.
Even as a preteen, he was millionaire.
Thank you very much for the shares. This is some information that could change the rest of your life. If you've got family and friends who have been battling with financial issues, it's no wonder. But you're about to find out tonight it's not your fault. So let's get ready. We're going to listen to this introduction. We're going to get busy.
Very special set of leadership skills into this company and this industry where he has been able to thrive. So rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are in the right place at the right time to receive this awesome information from the very perfect person to receive it from. Not only is this gentleman one of our leaders in the company, he's also a member of the Leadership Council. Also, he hit the top level of the compensation plan in just around 20
Yes. So I hope everybody's ready. This is going to be a really interesting training.
He just most recently won the President's Award at our
I just kind of really want to share with everybody.
Step out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure you grab a notepad and a pen. Get ready to take some really awesome notes. And I'm going to step out of the way and introduce to the line my personal mentor, my friend, and my coach, Mr. Haziq Ali. Are you on the line, sir?
Yes, I am, Ms. Nancy. Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Please take it away.
Okay. Let me try to mute out these lines. I'm still hearing chimes.
Entry chimes are on. Exit chimes are off. Entry and exit chimes are on. Entry and exit chimes are off.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to be here with you right now. My name is Haziq Ali. I'm out of Washington, D.C., but I now currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia, right in the middle of the USA. We're going to talk a little bit about the USA in a minute, but I wanted to offer this special sort of like, I don't know if you would call it a training. I don't know if you would call it sort of like an education session, but I want you to think about something, right? And you tell me if I'm wrong. But everybody that we know's got the same two objectives. Am I right? Everybody that we know is functioning under the same two needs if you break it all the way down. One is the need to take care of your current lifestyle with your labor. Am I right? Everybody that can hear my voice has that same first objective. Listen, I've got to eat, and so therefore I work. Like the seven dwarfs said, I owe, so off to work I go, right? Isn't that pretty much what they were saying? I'm paraphrasing, right? But everybody's got that same objective. And then what's the second one? What's the second objective that everybody has on planet Earth, but especially right here in the US of A? Of course, I'm talking about you've got to take care of your future lifestyle with your investments. You've got to find a way to retire. You've realized, some portion of you, that you aren't always going to want to work as hard as you're working today. Is that true so far? Don't you find that most people can work a lot harder when they've got the energy and the vim and the vigor of youth? Who wants to still be working this hard when they're in their 80s? Isn't it true that life expectancy is skyrocketing? What are we doing about the fact that we know we're living to be longer? You know, one of my mentors, he asked me a question and I didn't even catch how deep the question was. He said, listen, if most people had a pill that could let them live longer, could they afford to take the pill? Now, I want you to think about it. Not could they afford the pill, could they afford to take the pill? What do I mean by that? What I mean is most people think that $100,000 is some retirement money, or they got $80,000 sitting around and that's some retirement money. I know people from where I come from have it bad, where they think $150,000 means they're what we call balling. The devil is a liar. If you can hear me, I want you to write this down. $100,000 is an extended vacation. $100,000 is not a retirement. $100,000 means what you're going to be able to do is live like a pauper for 2 or 3 years, and then you're going to be back to work. I was in Walmart a couple nights ago. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. The whole store, every employee that had on one of those pretty blue vests was over 65. You would think it would be the young boys in there slinging these pallets around, putting the bottled water up on the shelves, hanging up these clothes on the rack, especially since I was in there at 11 at night. But it wasn't young men. It wasn't even young women. It was the elderly. It's what we would normally term senior citizens, and the whole place was packed with them. That's scary. If you know like I know, if you're seeing like I'm seeing, that's a scary thought. Because we're living in a new day. Ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a day where Airbnb now books more hotels than the top 5 hotels underneath it combined. They book more reservations per night, and they don't even own any real estate. You are now living in a world where Netflix is the largest provider of in-home entertainment, and they haven't even laid a cable wire yet. You're living in a time where the biggest purveyor of digital photography is a company that doesn't even have any employees. When Instagram sold for $1 billion back in 2012, they had 13 employees. Compare that to Kodak. Kodak, when they were at the height, they had 140,000 employees. Just look at the numbers. The world is changing. Are you changing with it? Didn't Charles Darwin tell us that the race goes not to the strongest, the race goes not to the fastest, the race goes to he who can adapt the quickest? Well, tonight, I'm going to share with you the 4 reasons that most people will never retire. I don't care if you're talking about black people, brown people, or otherwise. For most people, retirement is a UFO. We've heard of it, but we've never seen it. For most people, retirement is Sasquatch. It's Bigfoot. We see the evidence. We see it in books. We've heard people talk about it. But for most of us, we will never see it. Because most of us are not living in reality. Most of us, unlike the animal kingdom, which mostly has fight or flight, a lot of us are living with a third option for the animal kingdom. Of course, I'm referring to the ostrich. The ostrich does something different from fight or flight. The ostrich just buries its head in the sand. The ostrich just buries its head in the sand and hopes that the danger doesn't see it coming. Are you living like you're Benjamin Buttons? How many of you remember that movie starring Brad Pitt, Benjamin Buttons? I don't know why I'm promoting this movie. I do not get a check from Brad Pitt's estate. But Benjamin Buttons was a story of a man who got younger every year. Are you and your family, are your parents, are your nephews, nieces, aunts, uncles, are they living like they're a part of the Buttons family? Because that's not a good strategy. Why does the average household spend $1,000 a year on lotto tickets? It's because they're using a different strategy than they would use if they were smart. They're using hope. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is a campaign slogan. And the thing about campaigns is that politicians cannot create anything but environments. If you're looking for opportunities, my friend, you're looking for entrepreneurship. But I'm not even going to get on my soapbox right now. I want to share with you the 4 reasons that most people will never see retirement. If you're watching on Facebook Live, put this in the comments. Here's the first reason. We call it inflation. See, I want you to understand something, and somebody type this out for me if you're watching on Facebook Live. You got to understand that the game of money started with language way before it started with banks, way before it started with gold and silver. The game of money started with language. The only reason they can scam us into using something called a savings account is because they say it's savings. Now, why do we, me and my millionaire-minded friends and all of that, why do we say savers are losers? It's because we understand the language. We understand that the bank isn't saving your money. The bank is borrowing your money. Woo! I hope you're catching this. The bank is not keeping your money safe. The bank is borrowing your money. But if they admitted that, what you would end up doing is asking, what's in it for me? If I'm gonna loan you this money so you can go forth and get rich, Mr. Banker, because don't get it twisted. That person that you meet there at your branch of Bank of America or Wells Fargo, that's not the banker. That's an employee of the banker. But if you understood the language, you would understand that the first reason that most people will never be able to retire is the word inflation. It's another form of language, right? Listen, Eskimos have 17 words for snow. How come we don't even know the word inflation? Inflation is what it means when if your grandma took that same 35 cents that she could have bought a burger, a fries, and a shake with, and she pulled it out from under her pillow or her savings account, and then she took out that 35 cents so she could say, come on, baby, let's go on down to McDonald's. Grandma would be in for a shock because of the word inflation. We call it the silent income killer because most people can't even measure it. The closest you can come to measuring it is when you're at that gas tank and you see that it's $3 for 1 gallon of gas. But let's look at what that does to the rest of the economy. If the farmer has to pay $3 a gallon for gas, guess what he's going to do? He's going to say no problem, and he's going to pass it on to his customers. So since it costs him $3 a gallon to plow his field, to fill his tractors, he's got acre after acre to plow, and his cost just went up. Guess who he passes it along to? The store. Now the store says, wow, these crops cost so much more than they did last month. So what do? They pass it on to the customer. And here we come with our shopping cart. Victims of something that we can barely measure. It's called inflation. Sometimes you'll go in a store and you might see something like this. What is this? Right? I'm not endorsing it. I wish I could just cover that brand name. What is this? If you can't see me and you're listening to me, I'm holding up what used to be a half gallon. This is a half gallon of Welch's passion fruit lemonade, right? But this is what I want you to do. Next time you look at one of these half gallon containers, I want you to look closely at how big it actually is. What you'll find is it's no more 64 ounces. Why? Because that would be a half gallon. But what inflation does is it takes this down to 59 ounces now. That's called inflation. And it's killing your pockets and you don't even notice. But guess who causes inflation? Business owners. What does that tell you? That when a business sees their costs go up, they raise their prices. But when a customer sees prices go up, they raise their what? Their blood pressure. Because they have nothing to raise. They have no way to fight the inflation because they don't have a business. But that's just the first reason most people will never retire. Here's the second reason. Millionaires, we call it taxes. Woo! Now, why do you think every election they're always talking about the T word? No, I'm not talking about terrorism. I'm talking about since from before they were publicizing terrorism, they've been talking about taxes. I'm talking about this whole country was formed because we were sick of paying taxes. We got a president in office right now who has gone on record saying that he has a legal and moral responsibility to his family, to his shareholders, to his employees even, he said, to pay as little taxes as legally required. Millionaires, do you know that it is not legally required that you pay taxes? It's legally required that you file taxes. What a difference. But here's what most people don't understand about taxes. They're taxing you at 25 to 33%, which means you're working 25 to 33% of the year for free. That's the second reason that most people will never retire. They don't even realize that slavery never ended. Slavery just changed forms. I love that they're putting Harriet Tubman on the front of that $20 bill in however many years they're going to do it. I love that. But let me tell you something. She said, I freed thousands of slaves, but I could have freed thousands more if only they would have known they were slaves. I humbly submit that that is our same problem today. So taxes are an incredible weight on your rocket to success because of the fact that most people don't even realize how much damage they're doing, one, and then two, how easy it is to fix the problem. I'm going to get into some solutions in a minute, but right now I just want to give you an inventory of the problems. I want to give you an inventory of the reasons that most aren't going to make it. Here's the third reason. And what's funny is that it's caused by the second. Do you know that taxes cause debt? Let me explain. Look at your car note or look at your mortgage. When they agree to give you that loan, do they give it to you based on the $50,000 that you gross or the $35,000 you actually bring home? At what point when you're talking and you're filling out that paperwork, do they say, how much do you net? At what point do they say, well, I know you said you gross 50. I know you said you gross 75, but how much do you actually bring home? Do you notice they never ask that question? They give you the loan based on gross when they know you've never seen gross and you never will. It's kind of gross, pun intended, right? But it's because America is based on these sorts of principles where they take advantage of those that don't know. This is why we always say you learn more, you earn more. For your third reason that most will never retire, I want you to put in debt. D-E-B-T. The holy books call it bondage. You know, if I'm not mistaken, we're told to be a lender, not a borrower. Do you know there are certain religions, Judaism comes to mind, where they look down on you for renting an apartment? They look down on you for having a landlord. They like, how you a king and you got a landlord? Woo! Debt is the third reason that most people will never retire, and it's caused by taxes. But you ain't heard nothing yet. I talked about it a little bit when I talked about the half gallon now being 50. They done changed the metric system. Now that half gallon container is only 59 ounces. Who knew? Right? But who am I talking about? I'm talking about the fourth reason that most will never retire. Right in big business. Listen to me. You live in the U.S. of A. But it doesn't stand for the United States of America like you were taught. The U.S. of A stands for the United States of Advertising. You live in a country where, unbeknownst to your budget, unbeknownst to your financial plan, they've got a plan for you to spend some money every single month. What's this month? May? What we got coming up? Memorial Day. What's next month? June? What we got? Father's Day. This month we've also got Mother's Day. In July we've got July 4th. In August there's no holidays, so what do they got for you? Back to school. Then September you got Labor Day. Then October you got Halloween. There are stores that only open in October and never open the rest of the year. They make so much money. Then November, forget about it. You got Thanksgiving. Then you get to shut down your dinner early because it's time for Brown Thursday. Then you got Black Friday. They got Cyber Monday. But then we get to December. Then you got Christmas. Then you got Kwanzaa. Then you got New Year's Eve. Then in January you got New Year's. February you got Valentine's Day. March you got Easter, and let's not forget, you know, spring break. And this is the whole thing about when April brings us Easter, right? The whole idea is you wore the same suit last year because you ain't been to church since, right? So now you got to spend more money. They got it planned out for you. My point is you live in the United States of advertising and you don't budget all of those taxes into your budget. See, those first taxes you complain about, but the taxes that have to do with these holy days. Now, I don't know how Halloween falls under holy day, right? Where we dress up like ghouls and goblins. But listen, you don't even put these in your budget, but you still let them suck that money out your wallet. What is that money coming out your wallet? That's your retirement money. Don't you know? If you put aside $500 after 15 years at just 8%, you got $173,000. How are you supposed to put aside $500 if you're constantly giving it to the advertising machine? But listen, now that I've given you the four problems, let's hurry up and before we get out of here, give you some solutions. I promised you some solutions. I hope these help you. Here's the first solution. Cash flow management. Did you know that poor people measure their money in dollars while the wealthy measure their money in time? It's true. It's called cash flow. Cash flow is the time value of your money. I'll give you an example. Let's say I make $1 million a year, but I have $2 million in expenses every year. Well, guess what? I've only got 6 months of cash flow. But I want you to do a split screen, and on this other side, talk to the person who makes $70,000 a year, but they only have $35,000 in expenses. See, that school teacher doesn't have to keep up with the Joneses. That parking lot attendant doesn't have to impress anybody. So they get to go on driving their Honda Civic while they can travel the world. Why? Because they've got 2 years of cash flow. They're doing better than the guy that makes $1 million. But see, only if you understand the way it works. I want you to remember, this is something to write in your notes. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. So if no one's expanded your mind to match your goals start to shrink to match your mind. We call it cash flow management, and it's something you should be excited about this evening because there are only 3 ways to raise your cash flow. That's lower taxes, lower debt, or lower expenses. Now, you know, we've got a way to help you lower your taxes, your debt, and your expenses. It's called Start a Home-Based Business. Do you know that for $35 tonight, you can start a home-based business that allows you to protect more of your monthly income while accelerating some income other than your earned income from your job? Don't you know, just from starting a home-based business, they can put you in position to insert back into your paycheck without asking your boss an extra $200 to $500 per month? Now, to me, this is earth-shaking information because I'm one of the victims of that 2008 recession. I'm one of the people that lost not just 1 home, but 2 homes because no one told me this. Do you know that the average home in that recession was lost because the family didn't have an extra $500 to $600 coming in a month? They could have just started a home-based business and adjusted their W-4. Then you take that extra money and start paying down debt. Then you take this extra financial education and start lowering your expenses. Next thing you know, you're getting into a new financial place. We call this the 369 financial transformation because the first 3 days we work on your cash flow management and set it up so that it lasts forevermore. Then the first 6 months we work on your business income because that's the second solution. And then I'm going to tell you what the 9 is in a minute. But let's talk about business income. America was set up by entrepreneurs and investors. So who do you think they rigged the game for? Think about it for a minute. If you're an entrepreneur and an investor, doesn't it make sense that you probably rigged the game for other people like you? You wanted to make it so you could win easily? The whole game is rigged for business owners and investors, and that's exactly why most people will never retire. But you say, Haziq, 91 million people filed 1099s last year. That's the most in history. More people are becoming entrepreneurs. You're right. You're right. But far more are becoming hustlers. And hustlers don't get a retirement plan. Let me back up a little bit. Do you know that if you start off measuring 100 businesses and you take it out 7 to 10 years, do you know that in 7 to 10 years, only 3 of those businesses are still in existence? Now notice, I didn't say we're flourishing. I didn't say there was some kind of $1 million business. I said that out of 100 businesses, 97 of them went out of business. Only 3 are still standing. Why? Because most people don't know what the heck they're doing. Listen to me. Just because you know how to cook does not mean you know how to run a restaurant. So what you want to do is get involved with a business where you've got mentorship, people that can help you understand how the world of commerce works, people that can help you understand how online marketing works, since we're now living in a society where online is king. You need people to show you not only how business works, but what to do with the money when you bring it in. Well, let me tell you something. We've got an opportunity for you where for $35, you're literally getting mentored by millionaires. One of my mentors never dribbled a basketball. One of my mentors never managed a rapper, and yet he's still cash cash flowed over $600 million. That's $500 million plus another $100 million. These types of people for $35 a month. I'm telling you right now, you can do it right here. Get with the person that told you about this information. Or if you're somebody who needs more, just Google some of this stuff. Income shifting. We're about to get out of here. What's the third solution? Well, this is the finish line. This is where we're all headed at the end of the day. If we're lucky. Of course, I'm talking about investment income. The 9 in the 369 financial transformation that we're about to connect you to stands for investment income. In 9 months or less, you will have your very first investment account open, some of you. I'm talking about Price, Merrill Lynch, you choose. But the bottom line is we're not using these commercial banks anymore because we realize they are scamming us. You should have nothing in a commercial bank except what you need for the next 30 to 45 days. We call that a cash equivalent. The reason you don't want to keep your money in a cash equivalent is because you're getting nothing for it. And inflation is killing you. Taxes are killing you. Debt you for, it's killing you. Big business is somewhere where it's working for you faster than inflation is working. You've got to become an investor because this country was investors for entrepreneurs and investors. Either you're going to take your money to Wall Street or you're going to let the bank do it. But the bank ain't going to do it for you. The bank is going to do it for them. You got to get in on the game. If you sell your house, look, right? But if you make $50,000 at your job, you're lucky if you bring home 35 of it. That's because the game is rigged for entrepreneurs and investors. So those 3 solutions again are 1, cash flow management, 2, business income, and 3, investment income. And you find all 3 of those and a lot more in this company called MyEcon. It's only $35 to get started. Please get with the person that put you on the line, because the first thing I want you to understand is that you are smarter than a 5th grader. You are smarter than a 5th grader. You are smarter than a 5th grader. Listen to me. If I hold up 35 cookies in front of the 5th grader, and then I hold up 500 cookies in front of the 5th grader, and I say, listen, boys and girls, you can only have one of these. The 5th grader is going to say, sir, I would like to trade in the 35 bag for the bag with 500 in it. A 5th grader understands this. The fact that you just opened up your own home-based business for $35 now nets you 54 cents a mile when you're doing it to conduct business. You now get to mix business with pleasure, whether it's a restaurant or a club. I'll leave that right there. That's now mixing business with pleasure. You now get to write off 50% of that. You now get to write off a portion of your rent, your utilities. And did I mention there are incredible opportunities to earn extra income? We call it business income. If you don't want to risk being one of the 97 out of 100 who will go out of business, will waste all of that time, all of that energy, all of those efforts on marketing, only to go out of business in a few months because they know not what they do, you have come to the right place. You are in the right place at the right time. The only question is, are you the right person? Because you don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. Can your mind comprehend that if you want something different, you have to do something different? Can your mind currently comprehend that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing but expecting a different result? I'll take it one step further tonight. Another definition of insanity is doing what you see everybody else doing that's not working. It's not working for them. Why would it work for you? The 40-40-40 plan is over. That's when they years, and then somehow magically we'll be able to live off 40% of a number that 100% wasn't enough. What a world. But you got to remember, capitalism is based on ignorance. You only give money to the person because they know something you don't. I don't care if it's your hairdresser or if it's the supermarket. They know something you don't. That means, ladies and gentlemen, you learn more, you earn more. My name is Haziq Ali. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope your decisions mirror your faith and not your fear, because we need more financial educators. We need more people who realize that while sex education was required, it's sort of weird that financial education was completely hidden. We need more people that realize that every holy book is telling us to be better stewards of our finances. People that realize that the devil is a liar. How many of you agree with me that it's the devil that works on us and keeps us in our comfort zone? And I don't mean to get, but I can promise you that it's the bad guy. What do I mean? How do I know? Because it's only $35. It's $35, and that same voice don't speak up when you're spending that on some Ciroc. How come that voice don't speak up when you spend the $35 on some vodka? How come that voice don't say nothing when you spend $35 on going out to eat? But suddenly, when it's time for you to spend $35 to change your life, all of a sudden you hear this voice like, oh, we need to do our research. Now, some of these people I'm talking about haven't made a good decision. I go there. But what I want you to understand is this is a good decision. For some of us, this is the best decision we've ever made in our lives. You to bust a move tonight. I hope this was helpful for you. And remember, either your mind has to expand to match your goals, or your goals will just start to shrink to match your mind. That was my 15 minutes of fame. My name is Haziq Ali. Good night, God bless, and good luck.